Rekord with Big C and his trusty companions, Jazzy Geoff and Stinky Pete.
And we made it. We
did
it. After the
Yeah.
technical issues last week, I was getting worried there when it just the silence at the start that we normally have to have, it just sort of went on a little bit longer than normal. But it was a bit like when my beloved Sarah, when we went to Nice we were there last week, but the last time we were there around her birthday, we went in a cold lake at Christmas, not at Christmas time, around her birthday, so it would have been August. So it was a hot day, but it was freezing cold lake, and we jumped off the back, or she jumped off the back, kind of the back of this boat that we went out, and she was going down backwards off of this boat down the steps. There were fewer steps, fewer rungs on the stairway on the steps than she thought, and the last one she just went backwards like that, and she just dropped like a stone. And you know, like there's a moment thinking, oh, she's got to come up in a minute. It just went past. It went past them. We have to go in and get her. What's happened? And then suddenly, up she came. Anyway, it was a bit like that. This is Off the Record. We made it. Big C here. Stinky Pete there to my right and your right if you're watching on Facebook. It'll also be on YouTube on the right or on Twitter, which I will repost imminently if it gets through onto Twitter. Shaggy will sort that out, I'm sure. And Jazzy Geoff, of course, to my left. Hello, Jazzy Geoff. Hello, Stinky Pete. How are we, boys?
I was just thinking that actually this might be the perfect thing for the politics of the podcast. They're like, you're in the middle, one to the left, the other one to the right.
Right.
Yeah, so
okay.
Kind of works that way, I reckon.
No,
you reckon, yes.
If I'm on the right, I'm very definitely in the wrong place because right now I'm somewhere left of Trotsky. So
yeah, it goes all the way round. That's the thing.
Well, yes,
I'm good, Carl. Thank you.
Good. All right, okay. Busy though as usual, and enjoying the shows in the mornings when you can.
It's always a joy and a pleasure.
CBW,
in fact, it could be worse.
It could be worse. Definitely could be worse. Could have gotten our nose bitten off by a Saigon whore.
Or been hit by your massive Schwanstucker.
Oh my gosh, Schwanstucker, yeah, that's true. Anyway, welcome. What's happened? I mean, we only had a week off with the technical issues. We had a chart the week before. This is the show that we were trying to bring a couple of weeks back, and we finally got there. We'll come on to that. Well, we're reviewing some albums. Each one of us has given the other two a couple of albums to listen to that they presumably had never heard before, really at length, and listen to them, comment on them. I think Stinky Pete has done copious amounts of notes on every track on every album, so we're hoping he's going to take the lead on this one.
Trouble is, I can't read it anymore because I wrote it 3 weeks ago, and
this is the problem.
It's been so long that the biro started to fade.
Yeah, I understand that.
You had to write that stuff in invisible ink. Well, that's basically what it looks like. So if I suddenly go like this, then
you'll wonder why. So you'll be doing that. Jazzy Geoff might be sinking
I've got
on his chair. Got a sinking chair. It's going to be a fun podcast, I'm sure. We'll come on to that in a minute. But in the meantime, before we get on to that, what's happened in the world of football for Spurs? We've got rid of Tudor. We've brought in De Zerbi. What's his first name?
Roberto. In one season.
Roberto De Zerbi.
Roberto De Zerbi, yeah, who was manager at Marseille after he managed Brighton, which he left under a bit of a cloud, and then he left Marseille under a bit of a cloud. So we're wondering what's going to happen at Tottenham Hotspur.
He's never done more than 91 games in any club. So
no.
That's I saw a brilliant statistic today, and that is that Dejan Kulusevski has played under 7 managers at Tottenham, but he hasn't played for 2 out of them because he's been injured.
All season.
There's been 7 managers, but he's only played for 5 of them. I thought
that's
that
crazy,
just
isn't it?
About sums Tottenham up. That does.
And that tweet I copied on to you was hilarious.
It was fantastic.
Vicario, a goalkeeper who's been playing through the pain, apparently, with a hernia issue. decided to leave his hernia op until there's a 3-week gap, which we're in at the moment, whilst we're not playing this weekend because it's FA Cup, and it's another competition that we're already been booted out of. So yeah, the news was because breaking news, Spurs. Even worse news for Spurs. Vicario. He's got a hernia op, and he's going to miss the
rest
next
of the
2
season.
Spurs managers.
Just brilliant. Absolutely fantastic.
I think Geoff liked that one.
I did.
We've had a few managers, haven't we?
There's been so many brilliant memes about all of this absolute shit show. It's been hilarious. And of course, Paddy Power's gone to town and everybody else. It's it's been good fun.
The Trust haven't been that helpful, have they? They're very anti the De Zerbi coming in.
Well,
all to do with Mason Greenwood, the alleged.
There's history. So, that's why.
Yeah, Mason Greenwood with the alleged rapist. Is that fair to say? Although he's not an alleged, because he's not a rapist, because they didn't prosecute him, did they? Because they couldn't get any evidence, even though we've all seen it on Twitter.
Yeah, but also we have to be careful here because there is only 3 out of every 100 rape accusations actually get charged. So it's really dodgy ground, and I know a lot of the girls in the my Spurs mates who are girls, they're all not happy about it.
No,
but
I see they're not. But I wonder if if he does create a miracle and get us out of trouble, whether they'll be a little bit more forgiving of his arm round the shoulder of a player that is signed.
I think the key will be, because he's absolutely 100% going to get asked about it in his first press conference.
Yeah, he hasn't said anything about it.
No, but the key will be what he answers, because that will be the make or break. Because if he says something which kind of gives cognizance to the fact that we're talking about bad stuff, then I think he'll get away with it. If he doesn't, he's going to have people pounding on him right from the start and lose one game and the knives will be out already.
Standard, par for the course.
The difficulty is this: if someone is not charged, not convicted, and not whatever, then they are innocent in the eyes of the law.
Yes,
and that's the problem.
Like Cliff Richard was.
Like Cliff Richard was.
Yeah, there was no prosecutions there because they were insufficient evidence.
So, question mark? What's the issue? We cannot judge. But we cannot judge pre-judgment.
But that's exactly what people do.
But they shouldn't.
And no, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether they should or shouldn't. In the court of Twitter or in the court of social media, people are guilty until proven innocent.
I've got a really good way of resolving that.
Yeah, don't be on there. But
shut social media down.
But the thing is that in the circumstances like that, I think if it was almost any other offence, it wouldn't be an issue.
I accept that. And there is that dichotomy of also, you're right. Whatever he says has got to be very well honed for it to be right.
So he better not let the Spurs communication department at it, because if they do, it'll be an absolute shit show.
Absolutely, as normal. There wasn't this so much. I don't know. Was there? Was our who's our chief exec now? Vinay, isn't it?
Well, you mean
the Arsenal bloke? Yeah, who was in charge of them when they were supporting Thomas Partey? Yeah, and I mean he's been accused now of even more offences, hasn't he? But let's not get onto that, shall we? Because that's a pretty depressing thought. I mean, you're talking about prejudging and stuff and innocent in the eyes of the law. You got this Radio T DJ yesterday, was it? Scott Mills. I mean...
Yeah, what's that about?
He got arrested out of the blue, yeah. Well, it's reported now that he had a long-term relations... This is 10 years ago.
Yeah.
With an underage boy.
Was this before he? This was before he did celebrity race across the world with his boyfriend, was it?
I don't know. That was
Yep.
10 years ago anyway. This alleged offence took place. But I mean, I think he's 53 and the guy that he's with now is 34, but they've been together for 20 years. So I mean, you do the math.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not quite sure, but anyway, yeah, that's just the way of social media these days, isn't it?
I try to avoid doing maths. We've had this conversation before.
No, yeah, it's a good idea, and we've upset Donald Trump again.
Oh,
good. Because if ever anybody needed upsetting, it's that.
I'd quite like to have a row with Donald Trump one day. Like, there are people in my. I've had this list in my life for years of people who I'd quite like to have a row with. Like Alex Ferguson was one of them. I'd like to have had a row with him.
Do you not like him?
I think he's a great manager. He spoke to me the way he speaks.
Spoke
to me the way that the people he spoke to other people. He'd have got a gobful.
Yeah.
And Trump's the same. They're just bullies, and they need to be taken down a peg or 9.
Narcissistic sociopaths.
But he's not going to be there for us anymore. Apparently, like we're never there for him.
You know what?
Do we not join him in the Iraq War?
There never was a special relationship. The special relationship was always horse shit.
But the fact of the matter is that he should have been arrested the moment he went into work with Netanyahu, who is a war criminal. So the moment he and Netanyahu got together, he associates himself as a war criminal. What's the issue?
They were all on Epstein Island, so they were all associated with that as well.
Yeah.
The whole thing, it's a cancer and it needs cutting out.
On that note, shall we talk music?
Good idea.
I think it's a good idea. Right, we've given ourselves.
I'm getting up ahead of steam on the politics now, and this was my degree. So let's bin off this music nonsense and let's talk politics instead. I'm sure we can do a better job than that bloody Rory Stewart and Alistair whatever his name is. McCampbell. No, Campbell, yeah, him. Anyway, right, yes, let's talk about music.
Yeah, we're talking music. So each of us has given the other two a couple of albums that is in their collection. I think that's right to say, that the others weren't familiar with. And for them to listen to it, and bearing in mind this was about probably 4 weeks ago, wasn't it, when we first listed the albums?
Christmas,
so we give each other a week, but we still didn't have any time, so we moved it another week, and then because of the technical issues, so we've had it quite a while, and that is in itself a bit of a problem in that I've done all these notes about the albums, and it was so long ago when I listened to them, I had to have a little bit of a brief run through again today, actually, just to see.
But does that not say something in itself?
Well, possibly.
So does it not say that maybe none of the songs that you heard over the last whatever on those 4 albums have lodged themselves well enough in your mind to remember them?
Possibly so, but I suppose I've listened to so many songs apart from these subsequently that I know they do get sort of pushed back. It is difficult to know after just even 3-4 listens of the album. I found actually, before we talk about them briefly, I found that the last time I listened to them, I liked them just a little bit more. So it's possible that after about 6, 7, 8, 9 times of listening to them, I might love them. Who knows?
I think we said this last week when we weren't on air, didn't we? It makes you realise just how many times we must have listened to the albums that we had in the 70s and 80s, 60s, 70s and 80s, that we all love so much and that we know inside out, backwards and upside down.
Yeah.
How many times did we listen to those to get to this point?
Well, I was thinking about this, and when I was looking through all the stuff, because obviously since I had my own place and I've bought loads and loads of music, and I think that there are very, very few of the albums that I've bought where I can go through all the tracks and know all of them, know what's coming, know the lyrics and everything. So I think you're absolutely right. I think, stuff that we were listening to in the 70s and the 60s or whatever, there's so much part of us that you know them all. But
think that's also partly an age thing? Like when we were younger, it was easier to absorb it all.
Yeah, maybe, but I also think there is a thing about saying the more you listen to something, the more it ingrains itself into your memory. And if you only listen to something 4 or 5 times, so like these 4 albums that I was asked to listen to, I listened to all of them 3 times, and I listened to one of them the fourth time, um, and I've got an idea in my mind of what they're like, but I couldn't pick out very many of the individual tracks now and sing it through in my head. But I made notes on the basis of saying that struck me, and this is the reason why it struck me. So it would take another 20 plays of all of these for some of them to go, oh yeah, right, okay, I've got that now. And I just think that's about listening to stuff loads and loads of times.
I'll have to play these songs 20 times on the wireless then, like to get some
That'd
of
be
you to
fun.
listen to them. Yeah, it would be. Okay, so it's a bit of a different concept, isn't it, for this? And I think it'll be good fun. And hopefully it will be. And then we can come back and do some others at some point, whether or not we give each other a little bit more time to do it. Like
Or
give each other
maybe
the
just
albums
one
and then
album
think
each.
What
one album each. Yeah, true. Well, hopefully we'll get the podcast done in half an hour then, maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
I think the
Um,
other thing is, I think the other thing is that what it forces you to do, and I this very much confronted me. What it forces you to do is to listen to stuff that you don't know with an open mind. Because if you go, well, I'm not going to like that, then automatically you get prejudiced against it, and you have to unthink what your prejudice was. So when I found out what the 4 albums were, in my mind, I thought, well, okay, I'm deliberately going to go into these as a completely open book with no preconceived ideas about them. And actually, I found that much more helpful because what I discovered was there was a lot of stuff which, if you'd have said to me instantly, do you think you'd like that? I'd have gone, nah. And that wasn't the case when I listened to it properly. So for me, it was an education, and I really enjoyed it. And I've learned some stuff that I didn't expect would happen. So that's where I've come at it from.
well, hopefully we can carry on with this another time then as well. So we've got a couple of albums now. I don't know how we're going to work this. Shall I? I know Stinks, you've done quite a bit of research, even though you can't read your writing, and we might just see the top of your head when you're looking at it because the ink's fading now because we've been doing it for 6 months. This particular subject, it seems. Um, if I shall I start with one of my albums and offer
Yeah,
it to you two to discuss one of them, but
but
I'll
can you? I think is
introduce it.
what's important. We talked about this before. Can you introduce why you chose the album? Give us a little bit of context for it, because I think that's important as well. Why that album?
Okay, well, I gave you guys an album by Randy Newman. It was Land of Dreams. I mean, I chose it because I think probably because I've been playing a bit of Randy Newman on the radio, and I played maybe something from this too, and it reminded me. Yeah, it came out the year that Sarah and I got married. I know that for a fact, and it was also around the time. It was also maybe I didn't know it, but there was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. I don't know. It is almost a sort of precursor to the traveling Wilbury sort of style of music because you've got Tom Petty on the album with the Heartbreakers. You've got Jeff Lynne on the album, together with Randy Newman, obviously. Um, one of the songs on it was the single of the week on Simon Mayo. I think we're allowed to say Simon Mayo, aren't we? It's one of the ones that we
He's one
can
of the ones
mention.
he's one of the ones you are allowed to say.
Yes, that's right.
And he's a
Good old
Spurs fan,
Simon Mayo.
don't you?
And he's a Spurs fan, yeah, ideal. He had the single It's Money That Matters, which of course featured your buddy, an old English uh, stand-in teacher at least at Loughton College,
Mr.
Stinks,
Knopfler.
in Mark Knopfler,
Yep.
well-known Geordie that was born in Scotland. But it so sounds like Mark Knopfler, and I really loved it. And I think that's the feel that I got for the album anyway. And listening back to it also, everything that Randy Newman does now sounds like a little bit of a soundtrack song. Now, there are a few on here that I could imagine being sort of backing music, if you like, to something like Toy Story, even though they're not like the main theme song, but like what's the word for the sort of not instrumental, incidental, probably is the music looking for, music from a film. And I don't know, I just loved it tonight. I mean, I don't know what else to say really. It seems to have a lot of it's about a bit more personal, the album for him. I've loved some of the stuff that I heard after this, actually, by him. He wrote a lot of songs for other people, and a lot of songs, quite political songs in the past. This is more something to do more with his childhood and little vignettes of his childhood in New Orleans, or as you would pronounce it, Stinks.
New Orleans.
New Orleans, yeah. So yeah, so I thought let's see what the guys think of this album. I mean, I can mention when you've said what you want to say.
Let me tell
Maybe
you how
I'll.
I did this. Does that help?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then I'll
go on.
tell you how I
Right,
did
let
it
me
because
how
that
like I
then
said.
cuts
So I listened to all 4 albums, but let's stick with this one for the minute.
Yep.
I listened to the album, and I rated each song out of 10,
Okay.
and then I rated the album out of 10, as it were. Now that is not out of 10 against other albums. That's out of 10 against itself, because clearly none of these are the Nightfly or whatever it might be. You know, so that I'm only doing it against myself. So that's what I did, and I made some little notes about which songs I particularly liked and which ones I particularly thought shouldn't be there and whatever.
Mhm.
And then what I did was to put a little note against each one, just to remind me about the whole album itself. So let me just tell you what I said. This one, on hearing this one,
Yes.
this is my favourite of the 4.
Okay. Why is that?
There are some absolute snorters, which shouldn't be anywhere near an album, in my opinion.
Okay.
But generally, it's a nice album, even if some of the lyrics are tough. So that
Tough
was my
to
sum up of the album as a complete, and I
tough
gave it 7 out of 10.
tough to understand, or just tough, hard,
No, just
gritty.
they're hard lyrics.
Okay.
Some of the lyrics are quite gritty, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah. He always is, though. To be fair.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So there you go. That's my. I mean, I can tell you which ones I like particularly and which ones I didn't like particularly.
let's do that. Let's do that in a minute because I think
Yeah.
you haven't done your introduction. Let me tell you how I did it. Okay,
Go on then.
so the way I approached it for the 4 albums was, I looked at all the songs and I gave them a double tick for ones I really liked, a single tick for ones I liked, an equals for ones which were all right, and an X for the ones I didn't like at all. Okay. But most importantly, because this is who I am, because obviously to listen to them, I downloaded them all onto Spotify. And what I then did was to say, right, which of these albums will I go and buy the physical product of? Which of these albums will I keep on Spotify and listen to and enjoy? And which of these albums do I like a few tracks, which I'll keep, but I'll delete the rest? And of the 4 albums, the one I liked least was Randy Newman.
Oh, really? Interesting. Interesting.
Because, well, for 2 reasons. Number one, I have never liked Randy Newman's voice.
Okay.
So I like his songs, and I like the words because they make you think. But I've never liked his vocal delivery in general. There's some, I really loved "It's the Money That Matters," the single. I thought that was good. Maybe that was Mark Knopfler, but I'm not a fan of Randy Newman's voice, and I kind of have a hierarchy of piano-based songwriters, which goes Elton John, Billy Joel, Bruce Hornsby, and Randy Newman. So of my four, he'd be at the bottom of my list of 4 piano-based writers that I like. So that was the way. Now that's not to diss the whole album, because there's stuff I really liked, but that was how I've done it for all 4 of them.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I can't say, to be honest. I mean, I've chosen the album for you to listen to. I'm scratching here. I've got these flaming mosquito bites from Nice last week. It's annoying. I can just hear Sarah saying, "Stop scratching." Land of Dreams. There are a few tracks on there that I'm not as keen on, I must admit.
Well, okay. So which ones? Because let's see what Jeff and I think, because we clearly have done the same. So which ones?
Of the ones I'm not so keen on.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the definite one I'm not keen on is the Masterman and Baby J.
Right, that's horrible. That was my ex. Hated it. It sounded like crap Stevie Wonder was what I wrote.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I said was, and again, Randy, no, others do this much better than you do. I suspect it's supposed to be tongue in the cheek, but
Yeah,
that's fair enough. Actually, I wasn't that keen on Red Bandana either, actually, which
no,
followed
me neither.
and I wasn't not that keen.
That's the one that was, sorry, that's the one that's quite a bit of a fairgroundy kind of sound to it.
So I said about this one, love the little Tom and Jerry style start, which is what you're talking about.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah.
But it doesn't carry on. In fact, it gets worse.
No, I didn't like it particularly much either.
And even Four Eyes, I'm not so keen on either, actually. That was earlier on in the album.
That's the other one that I said no to.
Right, okay. I'm going to come back to Four Eyes. The other one I didn't like, sorry, that I put an equals for, was Roll with the Punches. You see, because I really like that bluesy piano at the start, but I absolutely hated the vocals. I didn't like the vocal delivery at all, and also the lyrics. That living in the greatest country in the world, the USA, that's all bollocks, and I can't stand stuff like that. So that's the other one.
Wasn't that sort of like tongue in cheek sort of concept though?
Well, it was tongue in cheek, but even the fact of it being, I didn't like the song particularly, but that definitely didn't do it for me.
I nearly gave that full marks.
Really?
Oh, really?
Oh, sorry, highest marks. I gave 2 other songs higher marks, but that's the one that was my third pick of the album.
But it's really interesting that you said, because Four Eyes, I gave a 1 tick. I really liked that. I thought it was, with the drums, the keys, and this is going to make you laugh, but I've said it sounds very Emerson, Lake and Palmer, which was probably why I quite liked it. Because actually it sounds like, and I can't even remember which track it is, but it's either off Tarkus or it was off the first album, and it's got that big drum feeling sound, sort of like the Carl Palmer sound. It's really weird. I was listening to it, I was thinking, this just sounds like the LP, and this is Randy Newman. That doesn't compute. But that's how I saw it.
I said, don't know what you were thinking on this one, Randy. Stick to what you do best.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting.
So I really liked I Want to Hurt You Like I Want You to Hurt Like I Do.
Yeah, I love that's the final song.
Really nice song. Yeah.
Again,
what a great way to finish.
It is, and that's one of the songs I thought I'd imagine that as a sort of incidental music on Toy Story, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I really liked Falling in Love as well.
Yes, I did.
Brilliant.
That was one of the ones.
Who doesn't like a steel drum? If someone doesn't like a steel drum, they should be thrown off the cliff.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Falling in Love is probably my favourite.
Even if it isn't actually a steel drum, it's a.
The other thing I really liked Bad News from Home. I like that organ intro. I like that kind of lilting, repeating 4-note piano phrase. I thought that was really nice. And the other one I loved was Dixie Flyer, the opener.
Oh,
I thought
that Dixie Flyer is what got me into the album.
I like that as well.
When you Bound for New Orleans.
It's very Mark Cohnish. I thought that one was.
Yeah, maybe
that's
so.
exactly what I wrote. It is.
Maybe pre-Mark Cohen then, presumably, because he was what. But same sort of style.
He was 82, 83, wasn't he?
Walking in Memphis was 91, wasn't it? Unless that was his first. Well, that was his first album, wasn't it? I thought that was early 90s. Yeah, I think so. Dixie Flyer. When you had that as an opening song, I found this with some of the other albums actually. When you have one track, you think, not so keen on that, and then there's another one after it that you're not so keen on either. You get sort of sucked into it a little bit, don't you?
Yeah.
Think,
But whereas Dixie Flyer comes straight out the gate, so
it comes
makes
straight out of the gate, doesn't
I'm
it?
gonna
Yeah,
listen to
absolutely.
this. And then if there's
And
stuff later which you don't like as much, well, okay,
you go back
But
to listen to Dixie Flyer again. But yeah, I think my favourites will be Dixie Flyer, Falling in Love. It's Money That Matters, and I Want to Hurt Like. I Want You to Hurt Like I Do, but probably my 4 favourites on the album.
But
I think Money That Matters.
Sorry, I was going to say they're mine, but add Bad News From Home. I really like
All right,
that.
okay.
I think Money That Matters is better on the album than it actually is because it comes after 3 that aren't very good.
Yeah, no, you're right.
That helps, doesn't it?
It does.
That helps.
It absolutely does. I mean, that's good album management, really. But
It is, and actually, if you watch it on Spotify on the TV, which I did, then that's one of the ones which has got the video with it as well. So you kind of get sucked in by the video too,
Oh,
as well.
nice. Okay.
As well as the music. This was the one where I will delete the tracks that I don't like, but I'll keep the others on.
So I had to download Apple Music to listen to any of this lot because I don't have any of that sort of stuff at all. So the ones that I've given the high marks to, I will probably get as a download. I won't buy any of these albums. Let's put that out there. But I would those 2, Falling in Love and I Want to Hurt You Like I Do. I will probably buy on download at 79p or whatever they're going to charge me. Because I think they're good songs, and having heard them a couple of times, I'd like to hear them again.
7 out of 10 you gave it then?
The whole album I gave 7 out of 10. Yeah.
Okay. Because I didn't have to grade this one because it was one of mine that I gave to you two. So,
but I didn't grade the overall thing anyway because I understand why Geoff did it, but that's not the way my brain works. So I just looked at the individual stuff because
right. We've done Land of Dreams then. Not a bad start then overall.
Right, let's do one of yours, Geoff.
Oh golly. Okay, I hadn't actually written anything about either of mine at all because
fair enough.
I didn't think about it. Okay, let's start with Brave. So let's start with this. Is Brave by the Shires. I was listening to Whispering Bob Harris on the country show years ago on the driving home from somewhere in the evening, and I heard the EP that the Shires put out. I thought actually this is really good. Who the hell are they? And then I listened to what he said and realised that they came from Stevenage, which is never a good thing to admit to, but actually it works.
Is that the first new town in England, was it?
The Harlow was the first new town.
Was Harlow the first one? I thought Stevenage might have been.
No, okay. And it's not Stevenage either, it's St Evanage.
St Evanage.
Stevenage, excellent. Here we go.
Isn't that near High Chin?
It is.
Yes, it is. It's very near High Chin. And actually, this is their first album. It's quite raw in its English. One of the things I like about it is that they recognise that they are playing country music in England. The lyrics are like that. They refer to it quite a lot. They're just a duo with a bunch of session musicians, and I've seen them live just as a short set with just the two of them, absolutely filling the O2 Arena with an acoustic guitar and 2 voices, and they were absolutely superb. They went to Nashville to do the second album, which is called My Universe, which is a great album, but it's so Nashville polished that it doesn't have the joy that this one has. I picked it because I thought someone needs to pick a country album, and I didn't think either of you two were likely to.
And it was going to be Geoff. It was going
to be me because I think it's a worthy thing to do. It being an English country album makes it even more worthy. And actually, I thought to myself, if there's a chance that either of you are going to like this sort of music, it's this one that you're likely to like. So that's why I picked it.
Did I read somewhere that the album was the first ever homegrown British country act to
I
have
believe
a top 10 album in the UK,
I believe so. Yes.
which isn't bad, is it? I suppose.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Ags Connolly has got some work to do to get into that. Right, okay. Overall opinion, Pete, on the album, or
Do you want me to go first?
Or yeah,
Uh,
you can go first. I'll join
Okay.
in.
I absolutely loved this album. I thought it was fantastic. I 100% will buy it as a product. There was nothing about it that I did not like. There was nearly all of the songs I double ticked. The ones I only gave a single tick to were Brave, All Over Again, and Black and White. All of the others I absolutely loved. She has got a voice for the ages. I love her. And I really love the expansive sound. Now, here's the controversial bit.
It's
I
April the 1st.
I didn't think it was particularly country. They let me tell you who they reminded me of. They reminded me of Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks era Fleetwood Mac. They reminded me of Honey Rider. They reminded me of Larkin Poe. They reminded me a little bit of Mary Chapin Carpenter. So although the idiom might be country, I didn't see it as a country album. I saw it as a vocal duo who kind of were a bit country rock, a bit singer-songwriter, a bit later era Fleetwood Mac. They sounded the ones that they're most like Honey Rider. You know, their album Marley's Chains, which I saw them do live when they were on the same thing as Paul Simon at in Hyde Park doing whatever that album, Graceland. Basically, they just sounded the same, and that's not a bad thing because Honey Rider are fantastic. I absolutely loved the album. 100% will buy it. Can't believe I hadn't heard it before. And I think that I love their voices. So when I went through all the different songs, you know, the harmonies, the little lead guitar bit underneath is on Nashville Grey Skies is almost kind of Allmansy in the background on it. I loved Friday Night, the catchy "Get a Little Drunk" thing. Was that a single? It kind of sounded like it should have been.
No, the single was Brave.
Brave, I think.
That's the one I liked probably the least. I liked Jekyll and Hyde, which was quite rocky and quite riffy, a bit different. And I loved Made in England, that acoustic guitar. I loved the words, that Cold Pebble Beach. It was just so well done. So of all of the albums, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was brilliant.
Oh, right, okay. Well, I mean, I must admit, of the 4 albums that we had to listen to, this was probably my favourite of the 4. So we're sort of in agreement there. I wouldn't say I loved it in the way that you're saying, Pete. I think it's a good album. It's a good album, and I do love, and I do see them as sort of a country music duo, but with a sort of a country rock edge. I've written down here a country rock set.
Yeah.
I don't know whether.
Okay.
Yeah. No, interesting. Interesting. Yeah.
I mean, that's the way I saw it. I mean, I love the opening track. Tonight was it? It's like a really bright opening song.
Very popular. It's very
Great harmonies, catchy. I don't know. Sometimes when you have the girl and the guy singing together, the girl's voice sounds a little bit more prominent. Does it, or is that my imagination? I don't know, but it's a good thing in this respect. It's a good sing-along start anyway with the whoa whoa whoas and stuff. I love the ones I really loved then. But I like Nashville Grey Skies. Although it's sort of standard, I've said standard country fodder.
Yep.
it's and it's got a steel guitar in it. I mean, you know, what can not be country about having that in the intro? It is country. Brave, I do like. I thought because she's started with a little piano at the start, a lot of a slow start to the song, isn't there? I loved her voice on that actually at the start.
Yeah.
And the tempo increases after a couple of minutes, and I must admit I do like songs that start sort of slowish, and
As they
then they
build.
sort of come in with the bass and the drums or whatever. So that was what that did. Friday night. That was also. I've said bracket singles. I don't know. Was that a single
Well, it
or I
might have been a
thought it was a
single.
single?
There's
I'm not
certainly a
sure.
couple of mixes done by
Sorry,
other people on it.
I question marked, was that a single? Because
Yeah, I
It might
just
have
put
been.
single in brackets. So I don't know whether it was or I just thought
no,
this
I
is a
don't know
single.
whether it was.
To me, at the start, it sounded a bit boy bandy. The intro to that song sounded a bit boy bandy, but you love a bit of a boy band, don't you, Jeff?
I love a boy band.
You love a boy band. But then they started singing about get a little
Not as
drunk on a
much as
Friday
Scott
night.
Mills does, but you know.
No, true. Yeah, get a little drunk on a Friday night. So I dare say that wouldn't be boy band like, would it? They wouldn't sing that.
No.
I remember when McFly mentioned something about getting a girl drunk. They performed it on TV and they had to bleep out the word drunk. Yeah.
What are they putting instead? Pregnant. Oh,
Well, it is Stevenage after all.
that's what I was
It
thinking.
is. There's a lot of slower tempo one with I Just Wanna Love You, which wasn't quite as country, more poppy.
Yeah.
All over again with a banjo.
For that I Just Want to Love You, I put down that it had that breathy voice that you get in a pop ballad.
Yeah.
It
Maybe
was
so,
a very
yeah.
different vocal delivery, I thought, that one. I liked it.
Jekyll and Hyde, I've said, yeah, a bit of a rockier start to this one.
Yeah.
Real bluesy vocal
Yeah.
from Chrissy, is it? Chrissy Rhodes?
If you wrote it.
Yeah. And that doesn't leave many songs. It's State Lines.
I see. I really like State Lines.
State Lines, funny enough, I said intro. Sounds like a Randy Newman piano opening to a song.
Well, there we are. I like State. I mean, I like State. Made in England is probably my favourite on the album, but only because
Friday night fish and chips.
Yeah,
Vinegar and
absolutely.
salt on your lips.
Yep. But State Lines, I put down that was a double tick for me, and I put down beautiful piano ballad with a soft, beautiful start. I loved it. I thought that was a great song.
Oh, that's strange because I said, yeah, it sounded like a Randy Newman piano opening to it. Vocals are slowish, but overall, I said it's not as impressive a song, which seems to go against what you're saying. Black and White, that's the one song, another piano slow start. Just the one about you've been given 2 ears and 2 eyes and only one heart. Is that the one?
Yeah.
I found that one a bit dull. That's probably the least favourite.
It was I only gave that a 1 tick, and it was my least favourite. And I put in there a throwaway lilting ballad that's carried by her voice. I think if it was she's got such a good voice. If that had been sung by anybody else, it would have been not. I mean, she makes that song better than it is what I'm saying.
Fair enough. A Made in England, yeah, like that one. And the last song, quite liked it. Sort of was that a sort of finger picking?
It is. Yeah, it's
it.
almost a throwaway at the end of the album, really.
Yeah.
But it's a good song.
But it's quite nice because of that finger picky style. I think that just made it a bit different from the other songs on the album.
Yeah, it calms you out at the end.
Yes, and the album is just incredibly well balanced. Tonight is a great opener, and How Many Love Songs is a great feature. I just think it works as an album. I was just so damn impressed. I thought it was brilliant. I loved it.
Good,
marvelous. Well done, Jeff.
Putting us all to
shame. Putting us all to shame with that one, aren't you? Okay, Stinks then. One of yours.
I deliberately chose. We had this conversation before we did this. There was no point choosing stuff that I knew there was no point any of us choosing something we knew you'd hate. There was no point choosing, the Sex Pistols or whatever. Waste of time anyway. You know the albums. So what I tried to do was to go, well, okay, let's pick stuff which is very much in my backyard, but isn't standard 1970s stuff. Not least of which is because you're going to know it anyway, or at least you're going to know of it. So what I've tried to do is go with stuff. So the Tubes is 1980s, and obviously Joanne Shaw Taylor is very much the 2000s. So I'm going to go with the Joanne Shaw Taylor album first. Okay, so she's done 11 albums now, starting in 2009, and the most recent one last year. Now, I've chosen this album, Wild, for a very specific reason, because it was her 6th release, but it was her 5th studio album. Okay, so she's done 9 studios and 2 live albums. I've got one of the live albums, but not the live blues one. I think she brought a live album out. I think it was number 3 or number 4. So a little bit of background. She was discovered by Dave Stewart from Eurythmics. So he was kind of her mentor. And she was playing around the clubs in the Midlands. She's from somewhere outside Wolverhampton. I can't remember. Anyway, but she got picked up by Joe Bonamassa, and Joe Bonamassa was the one who's really championed her career. And a lot of the stuff that she's done, especially the later stuff, so she's done an entire blues covers album with Joe Bonamassa, who produced it and played on a lot of it. So she is very much his protege, and you can tell by the types of songs that she writes, because they very much got that Bonamassa blues rock influence to them. I chose this album because I think this is a coming of age album. So you go back to the early ones like White Sugar, and there's some good songs on there, but you can tell that she's feeling her way. With this one, she was brave enough to not only... She'd come of age as a songwriter. Her songwriting's much more mature. But she also does cover versions of other people's stuff, really for the first time, not just blues standards. So in other words, she does songs which are not blues standards, and she gives them the Joanne Shaw Taylor treatment. The other reason I chose this album was because the first time I saw her live was at the and this came out in 2016, was at the 2016 Isle of Wight Festival, where she played in the tent the night after Status Quo had played their last ever live gig with Rick Parfitt. He died in the Christmas of that year, and that was in the June or July. So I've got a whole bunch of memories of seeing her live for the first time, and she is absolutely fantastic live. She's a brilliant live guitarist. So that was why I chose it. I've made some notes. It's produced by Kevin Shirley, who is one of the top flight producers.
Don't call me that. Don't call me that.
Don't call me Shirley. The Dying to Know was a single. No Reason to Stay was a single. Both very successful in the kind of blues rock singles chart. But I also like the fact that she did that version. She's done that version of Wild Is the Wind on there, which Bowie did. But originally, I don't know if you knew this, it's a Dimitri Tiomkin tune, and he was the one who did the theme to Guns of the Navarone, which is
well
an interesting one. And then, of course, the last track is the Gershwin and Haywood Summertime, which I absolutely love. I think it's a beautiful rendition of it. So that's why I chose this album. I could have chosen any, but I think this is her coming of age album.
Okay, Geoff, do you want to start, or shall I go, or what?
It's up to you, buddy. Whichever you prefer.
Oh, okay. I'll start with this one then, since I want to. Yeah, I quite like this album as well. It is as I mean, there's no relation between Joanne Shaw Taylor and the Police 5, Keaton Peeled as Shaw Taylor, I'm assuming.
No.
Keaton Peeled. That doesn't mean anything to anybody that's not
Outside
of
three
my
us.
age in England. Yeah, Dying to Know. I think is the opening track is often a good sign as to how you think you're going to like or not like the album. And I do like the opening track, Dying to Know. It's quite a bluesy track. I've written down very George Thorogood-y.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
On that track. And I think I may have played it actually, because I thought I'd play a couple of the songs from it before the podcast last week. Obviously that went pear-shaped. And I'm not sure you were around, so you might not have heard it, but I think I played Dying to Know. Also played one from the Tubes album too. But other tracks I do like. Ready to Roll, I thought was a slower, but it's got a nice riff throughout the whole song. I've written
Gospel
decent.
backing singers.
Yep, you can't go wrong with some gospel backing singers. There are some good backing female singers on the third one as well, I believe, which is Get You Back, which again slower, open slower anyway. No Reason to Stay also is a slower start and quieter. And I can't read my writing. Maybe before the Joanne Shaw Taylor comes in and the drums and the bass come in with that. You mentioned Wild as a Wind. Overly long for me, that one. Was it 7 minutes or so, which is, short for one of your songs. I thought it was a neat Nina Simone thing, actually. I mean, she did it, didn't she?
She did. Yeah.
But yeah, well, she didn't write
a lot of people have done it, but
I suppose so. Yeah. But bit funky sound. So I'm just talking about them all now. The next one, I'm in Chains, quite funky and again gospel-y. Now I wasn't quite so keen on that one.
Well, the guitar sound on that is much dirtier, isn't it? It's all, for me, it's almost Smoke on the Water-ish, that intro. It's kind of a bit dirtier.
Maybe so. Yeah, a bit dirty. And I wish I could ask you back. Is that what it is? I'm trying to read my writing here.
Wish you back.
I wish I could wish you back.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, soft intro with keyboards. Now it reminded me of a voice that you might not know, actually, and I'll have to play it one day, and you'll see what I mean. I think she finished behind in the American Idol shows. There's a girl called Alison Irahita, who you might like the voice of because it sounds just like this. She sang a song called Scars. Yeah, so it's a good song. By a country mile, my favourite on the album is the next one, which is really swingy and jazzy and a lot of piano in there, which you can't go wrong with.
And do you know who was the co-writer?
I do not.
Leon Carney Russell. It's Joanne Shaw Taylor and Leon Carney Russell.
Okay. Well, my heart's got a mind of its own. Yeah, I love that one, and I have a feeling that Jeffrey might like that one as well.
I'm keeping very quiet in a minute. I'll jump in.
Yeah, you'll come on to it. Yeah, Nothing to Lose. I thought it was a great rocking song. One of my favourites after that as well. Some rocking piano on that. Summertime. Etta James kind of style, I thought, on the vocal on that one. Which, as you say, was the show blues.
I'm not a great fan of Joanne Shaw Taylor's voice. I think she gets away with it because she's such a good guitarist.
Okay.
And she wants to sing her own songs. But I wouldn't put her in my top 50 female singers.
But that doesn't work with Randy Newman, who's a good pianist, but you don't like his voice.
Okay.
Geoff, go on then.
I feel guilty about this because Pete was so lovely about the Shires album. I gave this an overall 6 out of 10, I'm afraid.
That's not that bad. It's better than 5 or lower.
Right, let me tell you what I've said about it, and we'll quickly whiz through the songs. This is a very ordinary standard modern blues rock album. Any Bonamassa, any Beth Hart, they could all be the same. One or two exceptions, we'll get to those in a second, which do show what she can achieve. What I said was I would not turn it off if it was on, but I wouldn't turn it on if it was off. Right, Dying to Know, decent enough opener, solid blues song. Ready to Roll, I like the basic riff in that, which is basically Bonamassa in disguise, which is what you said just earlier, Pete.
Absolutely.
Get You Back, I like that single note punching. I think that's a quite a good thing, but it's still not none of them are fabulous songs.
I'll tell you what I said about that. I've written down, sorry to interrupt you there, but I've written down a bit of a Tom Petty riff going on in that song.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. No Reason to Stay. It starts really well with the piano keyboard stuff, and then suddenly you're back to the fourth of the floor, and it's although I think I enjoyed it more than the first three. This doesn't matter to anybody else, I'm sure. But actually, if you listen to her solo in that, the plectrum attack on the string is huge. You can really hear the plectrum attack on the strings, which is that's sound engineering who's done his job properly.
Yeah.
World in the Wind, I got bored as bored could be. Sorry about that. I just got bored. Wanna Be My Lover was my favourite one so far.
It's my least favourite track on the album.
Well, there we go. Bit bouncier, bit more exciting. She sounds like she's enjoying it, which I don't think she was. A lot of the other stuff, she doesn't sound like she is. I'm in Chains, we're back to the chunky, slightly miserable riff. I wish I could wish you back. I like that acoustic intro, and I like that ballad style, and I think that suits her voice better.
Sorry, can I just say something about that song? Because I've just remembered the other thing when I saw her do it live at the Isle of Wight. When she introduced that song, she said, "This is about a breakup in a relationship and wanting the relationship back." And she said, "And when you break up with a woman who is a singer-songwriter, don't expect not to get sung about."
Fair enough.
Right.
Especially if your name's Taylor Swift.
Fair enough. My Heart's Got a Mind of Its Own. I don't know what a country mile is, but it's at least a country mile better than anything else on the album. Like, it's a straight, proper 12-bar song, absolutely subtle. It's got a good, unsubtle timing change, which I really like in it.
In the second verse, it just changes, isn't it? Yeah.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Nothing to Lose, not as good as the previous song, but again, I quite like it. It's a bit thicker, a bit more lively again. And the chorus, the BVs are quite chunky. I quite like that. Summertime, she shouldn't have bothered. Sorry, but no. Like, it's a really good song, and she hasn't done it.
Well, you see,
there you go.
You see, I chose it. I chose this album deliberately because she's doing stuff which isn't standard Joanne Shaw Taylor. That's why I chose it. I could have chosen any of the other albums because I love them all, because basically I just shove them in there and I go, this is my music. I deliberately chose this because My Heart's Got a Mind of Its Own, Summertime, and Wild is the Wind are not what she usually does. So it's experimenting, and that's, I guess I like people experimenting. That's why I chose it.
My Heart's Got a Mind of Its Own was a good experiment.
Okay.
And I will download that, and I will play that again, because I think it's a superb song. And the fact that it's co-written by Leon Russell is not a surprise, but I didn't know. But I mean,
No, it makes sense. It makes sense, doesn't it? Mm. And what you were saying about the plectrum sound, that's Kevin Shirley. That, basically.
Yeah. Like, it's hard to get. It's hard to engineer it properly. So yeah.
The other interesting thing is all of her lead guitar work. She plays all of it on a Telecaster. So her chosen instrument is a Telecaster. She occasionally plays a Les Paul, but mostly she plays a Telecaster. And which
is very country.
Yeah, it is, and it's not usually what's chosen as a lead instrument. So the fact that she chooses that, I think, just again is a bit different.
It's got a chunkier sound. That's why.
Yes, yeah, it has. Yeah, it's more of a rhythm guitar. But anyway, okay, cool, good.
Right, we've done one each then. Shall we? Well, let's get straight in with the other three then. We've probably got less time to do these. Well, we might have about a month.
15 minutes
We've
free.
offered on at the start, didn't we? We've offered on at the start. Shall we switch it? Do a switcheroo and do one of your two first before, or shall I go? All right. Well, I've gone for an album for you to listen to that came out in 2001. It was Semisonic, and their album, I think it was their third album, called All About Chemistry. Now, the reason I chose it, what's memorable about it for me is it came out. I think it was my last year. I was working at the Civil Aviation Authority, and it was just a few months after the Concorde crash. And before we say anything else, it was nothing to do with me. The Concorde crash. One, it was an Air France in Paris. It was nothing to do with me. But the guy that eventually took over my job, the bastard, when I was made redundant, just played it and mentioned it, saying Semisonic. It's a really great album because he loved the one before, which was, I think, Feeling Strangely Fine, with the excellent song on it called Closing Time. And it's sort of poppy, rocky sort of sound to it. When I heard the name Semisonic, I must admit my first thought was, I don't like the sound of that already. It sounds like a dancey kind of band, or sort of drum and bassy kind of name, Semisonic, for some reason. I don't know. But Dan Wilson, who writes all the stuff, most of the stuff anyway, I think is a very competent songwriter. And I just listened to it, and he was right. It's a very good album, I think. Anyway, it's it's probably not in my top 100 of all time. Maybe, I don't know. But some good pop songs, some good jolly pop songs. Again, I don't like all of them as much as some of the others, but I love the album. Probably half of it I think is brilliant. The rest is okay. I'm not sure any I really would skip over. I'm sure there are ones that you'd skip over, but that's my general feeling of the album. I doubt whether you'd heard it, either of you. So let's give it a try, see what you think. So Semisonic is the album, 2001. I just had a sudden thought there, and I don't know why. It's nothing to do with this, but Celine Dion. Do you know? Like, there's a question for you here, right? If Celine Dion were to sing all the vowels in her name, which song would she be singing?
Grass.
E-I-E-I-O.
Yes, which is so.
Oh, McDonald, yeah.
Oh, McDonald at the farm. So I just thought I'd throw that in the mix. Not
Thanks
relevant.
Thanks for sharing.
One of you can comment upon the Semisonic album.
Go on, Jeff, you go first.
Okay. What I've said, okay, I won't go through all I can go through all of it if you like. I gave it an overall 7.
Okay.
I said it's an interesting mix of pop, guitar pop, and electro pop.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. Some of them I really enjoyed. One or two are deeply omittable. But I actually quite enjoyed its company, is what I said.
That's good. That's good.
Chemistry, the first one of my favourite songs on the album. Thought it was really good. It's a little bit Delamitri, I thought.
At times, yeah.
In its style. It's just a good, bubbly, sing-along, happy sort of tune, you know? Bed, a little bit more electronic, but still catchy enough to sing. Act Naturally. Irrelevant, really.
Fair enough.
What did you say, Colin?
I was just singing it.
Oh, sorry.
It's difficult to know, I know.
She's Got My Number confused me. I don't think they knew what it was. It's a good enough tune. There's electro sound stuff at the beginning, and the under tune is, you know, and the orchestral stuff doesn't make up for it. It's a non-event as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Follow, however,
I love that one. Yeah, I love that.
Absolutely brilliant. Yep, more country feel. I like that chunky guitar lick. Like that one. But then we're back again to Sunshine and Chocolate, which was nothing of nothing.
No, a bit of a
Again,
throwaway.
the melody's okay, but the crap stuff going underneath is distracting. What I actually wrote was Thompson Twins ?
Oh, okay.
Who's stopping you? Is this the Beatles? Really? It's like electronic Beatles. Got a good chorus catch and that little short guitar bit. I Wish I quite liked.
It goes on a bit, doesn't it?
The guitar, it did.
Wish.
What I put on here was the song is probably 2.5 minutes longer than it should be.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it's 8 minutes long actually, the song, but I do love it.
Far too long. One True Love, yeah, it's okay.
Carole King. It's with
Carole
King.
Carole King cannot do any wrong in my book.
Yeah.
It reminded me of another song, but I couldn't work out who it was. Get a Grip, I really liked as well. It's a good pop rock tune. I wanted to have a little bit of I might even have had a bit of a dance, you know?
Oh.
I like that chunky guitar lick. Girlfriends, nothing fab, nothing awful, although I've had both. Ordinary Life was not necessary. Like, why is it on there? It's too long. They didn't need to put it on there. It just washed away. Surprise.
You must have listened to a different version of that to me, because I haven't got either of those two on the version.
There might have been bonus tracks on something. Yeah.
So I've got another two here. Surprise.
I've got Surprise and El Matador.
So Surprise it's not a bad melody. It's a decent little sing. It's okay.
Yeah.
El Matador I thought was a bit boring. Standard last song. It's totally inoffensive. Again, like, you know, it's not good. It's not bad. It's okay.
I'm surprised you got 7 out of 10 for this album. Judging
Well,
by
I did, because the ones that I liked, I really liked. So like, I gave 3 or 4 of them 8 out of 10. You know, because I thought they're really good songs.
Okay. I must admit, my favourites are Chemistry, Follow, I Wish, and I like El Matador. I like that sort of. I don't know. It's a bit repetitive, I guess. Please Don't Go Away.
I won't.
No. The sort of refrain that goes throughout. It's sort of almost. I think it's quite sing-alongy. But anyway, what does the master think? Stinky Pete.
This was the first one I listened to of the 4, and I thought I'll listen to it first because this is the one I'm likely to like least. But actually, I really liked it. I'm not going to go out and buy a physical copy, but I am definitely going to keep it on my Spotify playlist, and I will definitely play it. I thought the lyrics were really clever. I like the lyrics. What I liked more about the lyrics was the fact that you could actually hear them. So you could hear what they were singing.
Excellent.
Like your grandfather.
What I didn't like, and this is a criticism of this type of band, or maybe it's the production. What I didn't like is the fact that the drums are way too high in the mix. So you can hear the drum. So, like, for example, I loved Chemistry. I've done, the double tick, single tick thing. I've got one which is an X, which I hated. Then I've got a split between the double ticks and single ticks. Chemistry is a double tick. Bed, I've got as a equals, not because it isn't a good song, but because the drum by the end of it was really starting to piss me off.
It's quite loud, isn't it, in that?
It's way too high. And then as I then went through the rest, I thought the drums are too high in nearly all of these songs. But I kind of got beyond that to listen to it. But the difference between Chemistry and Bed in terms of the drum sound was huge, and it kind of really put me off. I liked Act Naturally, softer, piano-y, ballady type one. I liked She's Got My Number again. I like the harmonies. I like it was kind of like a sound effects thing going on in the background. Follow was interesting. Was that a single?
I'm not sure.
I'm fairly
sure. I think
sure.
Chemistry and To Get a Grip, I think, were singles. But
I think I'm sure I've heard Follow before, but it reminded me for all the world of Hootie and the Blowfish. So I've
Yeah,
got
maybe so.
I've got
Yeah.
Crack Rear View. It's one of my favourite kind of not rock albums. I thought it very much reminded me of them. Sunshine and Chocolate, I hated. I hated that fuzzy start. It sounded like somebody farting. And what I hated a lot more than that was the fact that at the end it sounded like that bloody awful happy song where I want to tear my ears off every time it comes on the radio. So
You mean the
that
Pharrell Williams one?
yes,
Pharrell
it's
Williams, he means.
I
Yeah.
really like
I
that song.
absolutely hate it with a passion. It's
Yeah.
awful.
We
Anyway,
get that feeling. We get that feeling.
grim. Who's Stopping You? I thought it was really lyrically clever. I like the harmonies. I like the guitar outro. That was one of my favourite songs on the album. I Wish. I thought that was again a really nice guitar build in it. I like the Carole King, the one true love. I like the harmonies. I like the strings. I like Get a Grip. I thought that was upbeat, a bit more stripped back, a bit. I wrote down here proper guitar band because I think Jeff's right. I think when he said that they were a bit electronic-y in some of them, I kind of get that. This sounded like a kind of proper guitar band. It sounded like, four guys or however many guys it is just shoving their instruments down and going, right, let's play stuff. I really liked Surprise. That was one of my favourite tracks on the album. I thought, it was nice acoustically, that nice kind of guitar sound. I thought it was really pretty. I liked El Matador, but I agree with Jeff. It was kind of like obviously an end track which they shoved on the end of the album, sort of slower, more lilting. But overall, I was very, very pleasantly surprised with an
Right.
album I did not expect to like as much as I did.
I think it should have been more successful than it was. It wasn't a huge hit. I think that Dan Wilson was a little bit pissed off about that because if that wasn't going to be a success, when that was going to be their greatest thing, um, they jacked it in basically. They didn't come back, and the hiatus didn't last. It lasted right until about 2020 when I think they came back with another album. So, and that also didn't do particularly well. But I don't know if you heard "Closing Time," the song by Semisonic. Before, yeah, it is a good song before. But I probably played "Follow" on the show. Maybe you heard it on there. It's
I might
quite
have done.
possible. It's quite
I,
possible.
it's one of those things where I said at the beginning, I really, really tried very, very hard not to let my preferences and maybe prejudices get in the way of listening to these albums. I wanted to come at them with a completely clean slate. When you said about Semisonics, I thought, okay, I need to, I need to come into this and be true to what I believe we should do. I was really pleasantly surprised, and I have actually played it since. Not practicing for this, I was just doing something on the computer the other day, and I put
You had it
Spotify
on,
on, and I listened to it
right?
again. I thought, yeah, I really like this. This is a good album. I won't buy it, but I will definitely listen to it.
Stinks listen to it when he's not doing homework, Jeff. That's
Absolutely.
a good. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. Right. Okay. So that leaves two. We've got one from you, Jeff. One from you, Stinks. So, Jeff, we
Okay.
know what it's going to be.
Well, we do, and I had when we said what we're going to choose for each other, I thought, okay, what can I do that sums up me? And the country one was inevitable.
Let's take the time out just for a brief second and say hello to Tammy, Tim's mum, who's waving to us at the moment on because she's watching us. So hello, Tammy.
Hi, Tammy.
Now, that was a time out, and now we're coming on to Jeff's album, which is called
Time out.
Time Out. See what I did there?
We're all very, very impressed. I had to pick a jazz album because I think that
Yeah.
was the right thing to do for this for me on the first time around at least. And I wanted to pick one which I suspected you might know a little but not well. And I wanted to do one which was accessible so that you weren't going, oh, it's really weird, hard to listen to jazz. But I wanted to do one that was really clever as well. And I think we've had this conversation. This is the biggest selling jazz album of all time. It's got Take 5 on it, which was the biggest selling jazz single of all time. But there's so much in it from a jazz perspective, and I felt that it was something which you could both listen to and go, I can hear and understand. So that's why I did it. There you go.
Okay.
That's why I did it.
That's fair. Yeah, okay, fair enough. And I think you're right. It's probably one of those albums that, I mean, it's not usually my genre, but I was sort of obviously vaguely familiar with, more than vaguely familiar with Time Out itself. Oh, sorry, Take Five
Take
itself,
Five, yeah.
from Time Out. But also, I don't know, the first track was vaguely familiar as well.
Blue Rondo a la Turk.
I've
Blue
picked that on the
Rondo
show
a la
before. That's
Turk.
why.
Oh, that's probably why. That's probably why. I don't know. Overall, then, if you want an overall view, I wasn't horrified by it all. One thing I have learnt, my annoyance with improvisation
Yep.
too much by any instrument, whether it be guitar, whether it be particularly in this instance. And I found maybe this is something I've learned from listening to this album, which I could listen to again. I'm sure I will do, actually. This is a good thing about this. You're actually going to go back and listen to some of these again because you sort of want to know why you weren't so keen on something, maybe, or less keen on that than one of the other ones before. So I will go back and listen to it. But I've got a feeling I don't like improvisational sax on jazz records so much.
So can you say that
Strangely,
really clearly?
yes,
Just in case
improvisational
Sarah's
sax.
listening.
Yeah, improvisational sax. So we don't want any of these sort of gratuitous sax on on
Well,
records. Piano, I don't mind so much. Strangely, I'd love it. I mean, the first track, I do like actually the first track. I mean, it's long-ish, isn't it? From what
It's
I
the longest
remember.
one on the album. Yeah, it's 6.5 minutes.
Yeah, it's longish. No, actually, the next one's a bit longer.
Oh,
Strange
sorry. Yes, it is.
Meadowlark.
Sorry. Yeah.
Of course,
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the Harlem Globetrotters when I
yes,
saw
Lemon.
Strange Meadowlark.
Meadowlark. Yeah.
You used to watch the Harlem Globetrotters. Was it in the
Yeah,
70s? The
definitely.
TV show?
They were
I went to
brilliant.
see them at
Did
the
you
Royal
now?
Albert. I went to see them at the Royal Albert Hall. It was a school
They
trip.
were damn good, weren't they? They were damn good.
Yeah, they were.
They
Yeah,
made
They were
basketball actually look interesting.
they were an actual team, weren't they? They were an actual
Yeah.
team. They weren't just doing it for
yeah, but they
laughs.
weren't really. They were. I mean, everybody jokes about the Harlem Globetrotters being, but I mean, they were an exhibition team, really. But they were bloody good.
Yeah, they were good. Um, but I quite like the slow opening to that one as well. I think it goes on for 2 or 3 minutes, and then the a bit of sax comes in, and the tempo changes a little bit as well. I think maybe it goes to 4/4, does it? I don't know.
No,
I
and
know
this the whole thing is that none of
all
them,
over them, all over the place. The
like the whole
tempo.
idea of it is called time out because none of them are in a standard time. Now they may trip into a standard, so you could be right. There may be a bit of 4/4 in it, but generally speaking, they are all out of a standard time signature.
Which makes sense for one of the things I've written down on my notes then.
All right, okay. We'll come on to that in a sec. So I've got there's two other ones I didn't mind so much, which was the next three to get ready,
Yeah,
which I found quite waltz-like. Was
yeah.
that okay? Little double bass line always makes me think of Tom and Jerry. I know you mentioned them earlier on. Tom and Jerry with the "Is you is or is you ain't my baby." You know
Was
that
that
sort
just
of
what we just got the ladies' legs?
Yeah,
yes.
that's right. Yeah.
Saying Thomas, that's the one. No, it's not that one. It's a different lady. So there's that one, and then Kathy's Waltz, which sounds like it might have been a Paul Simon song. Actually, there's so many songs about Kathy, and it perked me up when there were definite hints, and let's not go completely bananas, of "All My Loving" by the Beatles in there. Is that where he got it from? That
Well,
sort
if
of
it was released before the Beatles, so it came
yeah,
out
yeah,
in
yeah. I know.
1950.
So maybe McCartney got his idea.
Yeah,
That
it
sort
may
of
well have done.
close your eyes and I'll kiss you.
Yeah, may well have done.
Tomorrow I miss you. Yeah, that's ding, 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 ding,
I
ding,
don't
ding.
know when was this 50, 54, 52, something like that.
59?
Oh, was it?
59? Or maybe it
Yeah,
was earlier.
it was definitely 59. I checked.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's 59 and All My Loving was 63. So yeah, I love that. But I mean, I hate to say, by that point, there's only a couple left. I was getting a little bit bored.
Yeah.
I was getting a little bit bored, and the last two tracks didn't really help. Really, I mean, everybody's jumping. I wasn't. Pick up sticks. Pick up sticks. It just amuses me when I think of the Planes, Trains and Automobiles sketch. Actually, when he's when they're trying to catch a plane, it's like we got a better chance of playing pickup sticks with our butt cheeks than getting a plane out of here tonight. But there was none of that in that song. But I've written something, but I can't read it. It's so small writing. Maybe Stinks will come on with something else. What have you got, Stinks? Overall, it wasn't too bad for me, but I got a little bit bored towards the end.
Yeah, I
The
get
last
that.
couple. Peter.
I never get bored with jazz, and the more improvisational and out there it is, the less bored I get with it. So if I'm listening to a 22-minute drum solo, then I'm in heaven. Having said all of that, just don't sing anything that sounds like bloody Pharrell Williams. What struck me when I listened to this was this classic question you ask yourself, which was, why the hell don't I already own this album? Because, I mean, I will definitely buy it. It's the other one of the four that I will buy. So actually, I'm going to buy both of Geoff's. But I
SWAT.
There's two albums which I don't have, which I have to have. This one and the Miles Davis Kind of Blue, which I also don't have, which is on my list of things to buy. I just don't understand why I don't own it. I love Dave Brubeck. I love this kind of music. I'm mystified that at some point it hasn't found its way into my collection alongside the John Coltrane's and the Miles Davises and the other stuff that I've got. So I will definitely buy it. I know Blue Rondo a la Turk pretty well. As soon as it came on, I thought, well, I must have heard this loads of times. I don't know why. For me, it's classic jazz. It keeps coming back to that central motif that all jazz is hung around. I love the piano sound on it. I just think it's a beautiful piece of music. Strange Meadowlark, softer, more mellow, I think. Take 5. What do you need to say? You know, everybody knows it. It's a piece of genius. 3 to Get Ready, again, piano driven. I liked it. My note against Kathy's Waltz was, this is not in 3/3. But now that Geoff's given me the background to it, that makes every sense in the world why it's not in 3/3. But just don't call it a waltz, because it isn't. Anyway, my least favourite track on the album is Everybody's Jumping. I liked it, but I will buy the album. If I was doing it on Spotify, it's the one I'd skip. And I really liked Pick Up Sticks. I thought that was a double tick. So I've double ticked Blue Rondo and Take 5 and Pick Up Sticks, and I've single ticked the others with a question mark next to Everybody's Jumping.
Comment.
No, go on.
I was going to say, I think it's Everybody's Jumping. I still cannot work out what rhythm what time signature they're playing in. I must have heard it. I think it's that one. I must have heard it 30, 40, 50 times, and I go, no, it's not. No, because so whether they're changing it all the time, it's like so there is no, what's what I'm looking for. There is no continual rhythm to it, which is maybe why you don't like it.
That's the cleverness of it. I think for me,
yeah,
that's what's replaced the improvisation. Because when you listen to improvise, when you listen to John Coltrane or one of those going off on a 10-minute solo, very often what they're doing is just taking the motif and stretching it in every direction to see what they can do with it. And sometimes it doesn't work, and even as a massive John Coltrane fan, I'll listen to some stuff and go, yeah, John, that's a bit out there, mate. Whereas for this, I think that because they're not really doing improv jazz, then just making these real weird, strange time signatures and these signature hops, then I think that's the cleverness in it. In other words, they're not having to do the 20-minute improvisation because within the 6 minutes, they're doing something which is just clever. And jazz has to be clever. For me, that's what makes jazz is just the fact that it is just clever. Every single jazz musician is a bloody genius. And I think that really is what makes jazz. And I loved it. You'll understand why I've said this, Geoff, but the comment I've put at the bottom is this whole album is late night Bosch music.
Yeah, it is.
This is good show though. Love Bosch.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've just watched 7 series plus 3 series of Legacy, and I'm halfway through.
Nice.
But just when he goes in and he's really stressed and he has a beer and he's talking to Mads and he puts the music on, this is the sort of stuff he plays. And I know he's Coltrane and all the rest of it, but I loved it, absolutely loved it. And it reminded me why I love jazz.
Cool.
I don't know what to say. Yeah, I mean, I disagree with some of that, obviously. You probably would have thought this is probably the least favourite album I would enjoy out of the three.
I would have done, but I wanted to pick one which I thought might be accessible enough for you to enjoy bits of it.
Yeah, I mean, I did enjoy bits of it. But I guess it's that improvisational sax thing that I don't like. I've said it again. And the, I don't know, maybe some of the lengths of them as well. But that's just me. And it may be clever, but that doesn't, as you always know what I'm going to say, it may be clever musically, but not accessible.
Yes,
as much overall with jazz, but maybe this is more accessible. Time Out, the first track, Blue Rondo, maybe more so.
I think this is really interesting because I think that is the difference between the three of us. Because for me, if something's inaccessible, it forces me to listen and work out what it is they're trying to do, and that's the joy of it. So if I listen to something the first time and I go, "What the hell?" I've then got to listen to it half a dozen times to go, okay, now I understand. And I think that's the difference. Whereas, something which is a 3-minute pop song, I just go, throw away, don't care. In one ear, out the other.
Some of the best songs are 3-minute pop songs. So that's the thing.
I'm not saying they're not. But what I'm saying is that isn't what appeals to me. I'm very happy listening to it and enjoying it. Play me a Beatles song anytime you like. But I'm not going to choose that over John Coltrane because it doesn't tax my brain.
Right. Okay. Well, let's move on from Time Out and Dave Brubeck to the one album left for Stinky Pete that we can natter on for a few minutes now. The Tubes.
The Completion Backwards Principle by the Tubes. I chose this because I've only got a couple, and I've got 3 Tubes albums. I've got this one, I've got Remote Control, and I've got the live album, which Gordon got for me. And I don't know anything on the live album because it's kind of like early Tubes. They kind of matured later, and I think Completion Backwards Principle is 1983, I think. I was introduced to this by my boss when I worked in the wine trade, who I had massive admiration for because in 1969 he was visiting his cousin in New York, and his cousin said, there's this music festival going on up the road which I think we should go to. And so Pat, as a 16-year-old, went to Woodstock, and anybody who actually went to Woodstock has godlike status in my life. So when he then says you should listen to this music, I automatically listened to it. Now, that all worked well up to the point he told me I should listen to something by John Deacon, which was a bag of shite. However, having said that, the
Queen guy.
Yeah, the Queen guy. He did a solo album. It was horrible. Yeah, right. It was awful. Anyway, I digress. So he said to me, right, I've got this tape, Completion Backwards Principle, give it a listen. And I shoved it in the tape deck driving home, And I listened to a few songs. Thought, yeah, don't like that. Really, really like that. But then I did what I do, and I played it 10 or 15 times before I gave it back to him, and then went out and bought the tape myself. And subsequently, when my tape player broke, I bought myself the CD. Um, I we've had this conversation before. The Tubes aren't punk, but what they are is more new wave than a standard rock band. And most of their songs are 3, 4, 5 minutes. There isn't, they don't do long stuff. They do live, but not. I think this album is, with the exception of one, is a very accessible power pop rock album, and I play it very frequently.
Okay. Geoff, you can go first this time, then go on. You got anything to say?
Okay.
This doesn't look good. Doesn't look good,
No,
Pete.
this is the one you didn't like. I knew this was the one you didn't like.
No. I did not like this. I didn't. I like to pigeonhole things. I like to know what it is that I'm listening to. I like to go, this is piano pop music, this is guitar rock music, this is jazz, this is... I haven't got a bloody clue what this is. Like, not a clue. I don't know whether it's pretend punk. I don't know if it's power ballads. I don't know if it's 80s pop. And what bothered me about the album is I'm not sure that they did. I'm not sure that they knew what they were doing, and that may just have come out in one or two of the songs. Some of these songs I really enjoyed. Some of them were rip-snortingly awful, and I think that's because it strikes me that they weren't certain what they were producing. So,
can I just say something there? Because I think that's a really interesting observation. Because for me, this is the bridge album between what they were, which was a late 70s punky poppy band, and what they became, which was kind of a much more 1980s sound. So by the time you got to Remote Control, that was very definitely a 1980s pop rock album. I think this is in the middle. I think you're absolutely right.
So this has got all that stuff, and then it's got this. Like, it's got like the echoey 80s ballad sort of vocal stuff. Anyway, right. Talk to you later. Probably the best song on the album, I think. Catchy Euro pop style, bit Huey Lewisy maybe.
Yep.
Not certain what that vocal intro at the beginning is all about. Like they could have left that out. I'd have been more than happy.
Oh, you mean the introduction to the completion backwards principle?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's part of the fun. That's what they do.
Yeah.
They do with all their albums. There's some weird thing. If you've got the extended play version, which I've got, they do an outro when they talk about what it means to be a tube. It's very funny.
Excellent. Sushi Girl. Peter, you don't like China Girl. You can't possibly like this. It was awful.
No, this is the worst song on the album.
Okay, good. Amnesia. Okay, good enough song. Unnecessarily complicated in the background, I thought, but a decent 80s pop sound. Mr. Hate made me stop and listen. When he started singing, I got a bit bored once he started singing. But there's something catchy in it that I couldn't put my finger on.
So finger clicking sort of start to it as well.
Yeah, it was. There was okay.
Do.
So, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. Someone swallowed the Stranglers in this, and then they got bored and threw them up and decided they were going to do an 80s electronic thing. It's not new romantic. It's not echo pop. It's not a power ballad. I don't know what it is.
It's very synthy.
It's my favourite track on the album.
It's very synthy, that's for sure.
I love it, and I love
it. Very simply. It is very simply.
You know what it's about, don't you?
No, I've got no idea.
Okay. A 50-foot woman in a 5-foot dress.
Yes, but the spoof is that it's about the 3 Mile Island nuclear disaster in the States. There was the nuclear reactor flared in 3 Mile Island. It's a very famous. It's the biggest nuclear accident in North America, and so they took a spoof on it and said, "What would it be like if I happened to be down there when it happened? I'd end up going out with a 50-foot woman because she'd be affected by the nuclear blast." That's kind of the joke in the song. So that's why it's like it is.
Right, Think About Me, bit more new wave. Quite enjoyed that. Matter of Pride was very Huey Lewis again, and the guy that did Footloose, can't remember what his name is now. But the drummer, that's the fella, Kenny Loggins. The drummer got stuck, didn't he? He got his thing stuck on the single tom. Like, mate, like move on, you know. Don't want to wait anymore. It sounds like a piss take of Barry Manilow, I thought. But for all that, it wasn't too bad.
You know what I said about that song? I quite like that. It's one of my favourites on the album, actually. I said a slower start, and it sounded like a Disney soundtrack song.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. Power Tools again. They swallowed the Stranglers again on Power Tools. I like that. I like that. That's the Staccato Pulse. Quite like that.
I was just to say the Don't Wait Anymore. That's the track that Austin loved, which made him then go back and listen to the album years ago when we were one of the early podcasts. Talking about this album, and Austin said, "Oh, I quite like the Tubes," and he went back and listened to it. And next time he was on, he said, "I absolutely love Don't Want to Wait Anymore." Great.
Yeah, it's a single. I think it's a single actually.
It was. So sorry, you said Power Tools, Geoff.
But I say Power Tools again. It's that Stranglers rhythmic bass at the beginning. That staccato pulse thing they've got going. It's okay. I quite like it. But again, it's got that echo voice. It's that the 80s power ballad echo voice is unnecessary. But there we go. Let's Make Some Noise. Yes, good final song actually. It's quite anthemic, I thought, at the end.
You know me. Have a good chant.
Good bit of disco chanty pop. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it, despite not knowing what it was trying to achieve.
Yeah.
I think I was actually quite annoyed at how much I enjoyed it.
You agree with me that Sushi Girl stinks the place out?
Oh, it was awful.
Yeah.
I didn't hate Sushi Girl. It's very stereotypical sort of Oriental sort of opening for your bars, wasn't there?
Well, that was the clever bit. The clever bit was the fact that they made it sound Oriental, but the song itself is horrible.
Yeah, okay. Sushi, Cherry Blossom and Rice. And Amnesia. I mean, I don't want to talk about all of these songs because otherwise we'll run out of time. But Amnesia, slower harmonies. It sounded very much to me. I've written Styx, Europe, Journey, Toto. That's what it sounds like to me. Mr. Hate. The annoying thing about that was his pronunciation of the word hate, which, you know, when he goes, Mr. Hater, that's just so annoying when people do that. It's like when you get on EastEnders and they always add a syllable at the end of words, don't they?
It's a vocal punctuation mark.
It's a what?
It's a vocal punctuation mark.
Is that what it's right? Yeah.
No, exclamation mark, sorry.
Exclamation point.
Yes. Oh, my apologies.
In the States, of course.
Okay.
What else is there? Yeah, I wasn't that keen on the 50-foot woman. He might well have had the biggest pair on earth, but a lot of the songs fade out on the album. I noticed. Is that fair?
Yeah,
I like songs that come to a stop normally. Think About Me was just open side 2. I like Jazzy Geoff said there, maybe a bit new wavy. It sounded very Blondie, Cars, synthy. Matter of Pride. I got a little bit bored. It sounded very Journey again with the harmonies. Traditional FM rock fare, I've said down here.
Yeah.
Don't want to wait anymore. We've mentioned Power Tools. Okay. Let's Make Some Noise. Keyboards, piano intro I quite liked. Overall, I didn't think it was a particularly interesting final track. Overall, I see the Tubes. It's almost like, you give this to me, and it is like he likes punk, he likes new wave. Try him on this, but to me, I think I've had this discussion with you before. I don't see them as punk, like you don't see them as punk. I don't know whether they really could be called new wave. It depends on your definition of new wave. They do sound very much like the sort of in the Cars bracket, and they were always called new wave over there in the States.
Yeah.
But
Well, I do
it's
say
got
when I
no,
say
it's got
like,
no. Frankly, it's got no bollocks to it. There's no balls to it. There's no sort of any rock and roll sort of intentions to the album, which is what brought it down for me.
okay, I think there's two things here. I think it's very American new wave, and American new wave and English new wave are not the same.
Yeah, okay.
But I think the other thing is that they were going for a much more FM radio friendly sound by this stage. If you listen to the stuff like White Punks on Dope and
Yeah, I got that one. Yeah, White Punks
on
and
the
Dope.
live album that I've got, it's got a lot more balls than this has. So
Yeah,
I think that they changed as music changed in the 80s.
maybe so. Yeah, it was 81 actually. I just checked actually rather than 83. But
It
yeah.
must the other
Yeah,
one
it's
must have
very
been.
early 80s. Yeah, okay. So overall, I mean, I gave it like a 5 out of 10. There were some that I didn't mind, some of them I didn't really get on with. I didn't really hate any of them. Like you guys don't like Sushi Girl. I didn't hate it. It was all right. I just think it all sounds a bit watered down rock and roll, really. It just wasn't appealing in, no grit to it, which is what I like. So that's my view on the Tubes and the completion backwards principle. Um, I wouldn't say I hate any of the albums that we've heard, actually. It's
No,
been quite an interesting experiment,
it
and I
has.
think we should do it again on some other albums. So overall, you're not so keen on Randy Newman, Pete, the
I,
album. Least favourite,
of the four that I had to listen to, it was my least favourite. But that's not to say I didn't like it, because I
some of the
did.
tracks. Yeah.
Certainly some of the
And,
track.
and your least favourite, Jeff, was
Joanne Shaw Taylor.
Joanne Shaw Taylor. I think probably my least. Well, I think Time Out was probably my least favourite overall because it's just not my bag. Not my bag. But I did enjoy listening to. I enjoyed listening to it. I did enjoy listening to it, but it's not one of those I want to really rush back. But maybe I will. Maybe I will. Maybe I will just to get into the jazz mood and the jazz mode.
When
Well,
I do my list of CDs that I've got a long list now that I need to buy, the
Time
Shires
Out
album.
is definitely on there. I'm
The
surprised you haven't got Time Out.
The Shires album is going right to the top of that list.
The Shires, yeah, I did like Shires. That was probably my favourite of the four.
That'll be the first thing I buy. Loved it.
But I do like the Randy Newman album as well. But again, I
That's a good album.
3/4 of it, maybe. Same with Semisonic. Okay.
But it's the same in most
And
albums. Most. That's why Greatest
yeah,
Hits
it's
is so
difficult
good.
to
Most
get an
albums
album.
have got shit songs on them.
Yeah, it is. It's true. True that, Jeff. True. And you've made me get these albums there anyway, so I've got them. They're there, so I can listen to them whenever I want. Well, I'm so grateful we've managed to get through this particular topic, which we've tried for about 3 weeks to do, and we've done it. We've done it successfully. Thank you very much, guys. I presume, Jeff, if you are around tomorrow, give us a couple of songs from
I'll
one
drop
of
a couple
these.
through, whether I'm about or not. Who knows?
Yeah, let me know. And it was between
got
8
mine,
and 9
haven't you?
maybe. I've got all yours. Yeah. An Easter theme for you, wasn't it?
An Easter theme, yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Well, thank you very much, Jeff. Thank you very much, Pete. As always, that's the end. We'll be posted to the usual places by Shaggy in the coming days, including Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, should be there. It will be on iTunes as well at some point. It's going to be, you can watch it. I'll repost it on Twitter in the morning and Facebook maybe tonight as well, if you want to re-listen to it. Or if you listen to it, you might not want to really listen to it. You know what I mean? But anyway, that is it for tonight. Thank you very much. And all I've got left to say is it's a good night from me.
It's a good night from him.
and it's a good night from them.